What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop. If it's Thursday, then you know who's with me. My guy, JD, Joe Delara, and G-Dog, Gilles Gallant in the building. We got a couple plays for you in a pretty chaotic, action-packed end of the NBA season. A lot of moving parts going on, but we ciphered through. Does that make sense, JD?
Yeah.
Ciphered?
Yeah, you could use that word
I
there.
could use that. I got to tap in with the lawyer and see if I could use that word. We went through the slate. We found a couple plays. You know the routine. I'm gonna tap in with the guys. They're gonna give them out. We'll give you a cap, and then we'll get out of here. Let's start with you, JD. What are you looking at for the Thursday NBA slate?
I'm looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder -5. I'd take that up to -8. And I'm waiting for this prop to drop, but I don't care what they give me Shea's line at. I'm taking that over on the points.
Gilles, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at the Magic to actually take down the Cavaliers and at least cover the spread at +4. I would play that. I have a feeling that line is going to move. We could talk about that in a little bit more, but also I'm going to be looking at the Suns to keep rolling, and they're going to cover the 4.5 versus the Denver Nuggets.
I'm looking at the Thunder -5. I would take it up to -6.5. We'll see where it shakes, but I like them to bounce back and get a big W here as they try to hold on to that play-in spot. All right, coming back to you, JD. Talk to me about. Let's talk about the Suns first here.
All right. So I guess I'll defer a little bit to Gilles, but I do like the Suns in this matchup. I know that Gilles, like we talked a little bit off air about some of the playoff implications for the spot, but I do like Phoenix. I do think this game is still important for them. Denver kind of locked into that 1 seed. And I think that, Phoenix is looking to really solidify those lineups, get that chemistry going, get that rapport. -4.5 does feel a bit short.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing, Joe, is right now just a little preview of whether or not the Nuggets are going to let Jokic play, maybe even Jamal Murray, mainly because they only need one more win to clinch the 1 seed. And this might not be the easiest matchup for them to do that. They've got the Jazz and the Kings as their final two games. And they're going to be facing a Suns team that is just rolling right now. They've won 6 straight. They're 7-0 straight up and against the spread with Kevin Durant in the lineup. They've won they have an average win margin right now with him in the lineup around 9.5 points per game. And I think we talked about the Thunder earlier, but that win that they had against the Thunder on Sunday was super impressive. Like OKC had all of their starters play 35 minutes or more. Suns still just destroyed them in the second quarter, won by 10 on the road. KD had 14 fourth quarter points. Like, again, why they traded for him is how he has looked so far. He's one of those guys that he can miss 10 games with an ankle injury, come back on the 11th game and look exactly like he did before he got hurt. It's crazy so far. And one of the things too, let's just say Jokic does play and this line stays around 4.5, maybe even down to 4 because people are going to be trying to back the Nuggets in this spot. Mm-hmm. I still think the Suns are a solid bet at that line at 4.5, because even the most competitive game that we watched them play was on Christmas Day, where everybody was playing. But even then, Devin Booker got hurt 4 minutes into the game, and the Suns barely lost by 3 in overtime. So I feel like with this game, especially where the Suns are in the seeding, wanting to lock in that 4 seed to ensure that they at least have home court for the first round, I think this is the game that they're going to want to come out and really try to put their stamp on it, because they've got the Lakers and the Clippers in their final 2 games. I don't think they want to mess around. They want to get Chris Paul some rest. So I would play this up to Suns -6, but I think Suns are going to roll over the Nuggets tomorrow night.
So one of the props that's been just an absolute wagon with this spot, with this Suns team, with Kevin Durant and the Suns, has been Devin Booker's first quarter assists. We're still seeing it with a decent amount of juice, like -130, -140, but he's hit this in 6 of 7 games. And the big thing is that he plays the entire first quarter. His rotation is the full 12 minutes of the first quarter. Durant plays about 7 or so. So this is an opportunity to get them rolling. And between the two of them with their gravity, it really opens up a lot of assist opportunities, because if you double them, somebody's open. And a lot of times it's the other guy. So that the Suns have a lot of bucket getters. I think that that's a spot that you have to continue playing. And it's also a good same game parlay piece, just that even at that juice, you can kind of pair it with either like Durant 5+ first quarter points, something like that. It's been very, very successful lately.
Yeah, I mean, You know where I'm at on the Suns. I think with all the things going on and the aura around the Nuggets, I don't like at the moment. This whole MVP thing has kind of flipped. I kind of feel like it's weighing Jokic and the Nuggets down a little bit, and I feel like the aura and they're not as relaxed as like say the Bucks. Put it like that in the number one. The Bucks seem like they're just all focused on playing ball. A lot of noise and different things going on with the Nuggets. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I would look at Phoenix in that spot. I'm on the Thunder with JD. So JD, talk about the Thunder, and then I'll give my play, and then we'll let Gilles talk through his Magic play.
Yeah, I mean, look, the matchup's pretty simple for me. The Jazz at this point are really just focused on the lottery. And, you have the Oklahoma City Thunder here who the players are still pretty hungry. I think like they want to get into this playoff spot. They want to be in this play and they want to improve as they can go and make sure to clinch that spot. And Shea has been incredible versus the Jazz over his last couple matchups. Both games this season got 38 and 39 points. And the matchup previously was in March of 2022. So similar type of end of season scenario, 33 points against the Utah Jazz. So I think that Shea is really going to put on a show. I would take his points prop. If it's like 31.5, I still think you got to take that in this spot, especially because this is a motivation spot for Shea. Not that there's not as much talk about most improved, but there's been a little bit of talk, and the way the betting market's saying is that Lauri is the most improved player, right? But I don't really know about that. I'm not convinced that that's a done deal on the market, especially with voting still to come and Shea being the number 2 contender. So he's going to go out there, he's going to ball and be doing it while Lauri Markkanen's sitting on the bench. So I really think that this is a spot where Oklahoma City is going to want to push forward. You're going to see them making it into the play-in realistically with a win, and Shea is going to be a big part of that. So I think that the spread, it's like -5. I think this is going to balloon with people sitting out between Lauri, Sexton. We'll see who else is going to be sitting out this game, but Utah is really not a good basketball team. And I think we're going to be seeing way too many minutes with Talon Horton-Tucker handling the basketball. And that's just that's just not a recipe for success, as we all kind of know at this point.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Gilles, any thoughts on that? Actually, let me go ahead and give mine, and you could jump in and give your thought on the Thunder. I agree with JD. I'm going Thunder -5. Would play it up to -6.5. This is flat out a spot where I'm going with the team who still has a lot to play for, trying to battle for that 10th spot. I also like Dallas to win tonight as we record this on Wednesday night as well. I think the Mavs bounce back, get a W. It looks like Luka and Kyrie are going to play, and I think the Thunder will need to keep pace. I believe that they have something to play for. The Jazz do not. Also, I'm going to go with the team and then the best player on the court. As JD was just saying, SGA is the best player on the court by quite a wide margin, and he has been going ballistic. He had 32, 7, and 5 on 11 of 17 against the Warriors. They put up 79 points in the first half on the Warriors in San Francisco. They played extremely well and kind of just crumbled down the stretch there. They've lost 3 straight games. This is a really, really beautiful bounce back spot. Also, one of the things you didn't mention, JD, I agree with you on the most improved. He potentially may want that award, but I know he's going to be trying to battle for that to solidify that all NBA spot as well on one of those 3 teams. So I think SGA is also going to have a big game. Utah 1-7 in their last 8 games. They're going to be missing Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler, Jordan Clarkson still dealing with that finger, and now the young bull Colin Sexton is going to be out as well. Essentially some load management or Wembanyama management, as G-Dog said before we hopped on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this spot for the Oklahoma City Thunder, losing 3 straight. SGA trying to close the season strong for his squad, for himself. A lot of different motivational pieces here for the Thunder. I'll lay the 5, would play it up to -6.5. Gilles, any thoughts on the Thunder?
I just don't know how the Jazz are going to be able to keep this within 10 if they don't have at least Markkanen or Kessler out there. If you just even look at the 2 matchups that they played against each other right after the All-Star break, so it's pretty recent memory, pretty recent rotations. The Jazz barely won in overtime. Walker Kessler had like 20 boards and 7 blocks. The next time they play, same thing. He has again 5 blocks. Like he had 12 blocks on them over the last 2 games. And then when they played without them in the last game against the Lakers, the Jazz played, they didn't have any blocks in that game, and the Lakers shot over 50% inside the paint. So that was one of those things that immediately you see where OKC just has this huge edge that I'll be shocked that this is like around 6.5 by tip-off. So I would try to get this as soon as you see it open at your sportsbook.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think a Kelly Olynyk masterclass can save the Jazz, like it's just not going to happen.
Hey, man, Kelly Olynyk has that in him.
I mean, hey,
Kelly has done that
fun
before.
For him, but...
Kelly Olynyk has done that before. All right, Gilles, close out the picks with the Magic +4 here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty simple. And we were going to talk about this, just about how the Cavaliers have now locked in their 4 seed, going to be playing the Knicks in the opening round. So with only 2 games remaining, with the Magic being one of them, I don't see really why they would have any motivation and why they should even be close to being favorites, because I just don't think that Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are going to play. Like they both played over 40 minutes in the playoff clincher versus the Magic, and they needed Donovan Mitchell to be superstar, get his 4th game in a row with 40 points, and they still only won by 4. So I think they both end up kind of sitting out in this game. And, they're looking at the remaining 2 games for the Cavaliers being like the Magic and the Hornets. Like they're just going to coast through those games. And if they even play Donovan or Darius at all, it'll be probably 20 to 25 minutes at most. So I think we're going to see a lot of like Karis LeVert. We're going to see a lot of Cedi Osman, a lot of Lamar Stevens. And those guys just aren't close to what the Magic are able to put on the floor right now from a motivational standpoint and also just from a talent standpoint. One of the things that I found really interesting as well is that you think of the Cavs and one of their strengths being with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. The Magic out-rebounded them pretty much the entire game. They actually, the margin was 47-30 just last night. So this being the Magic's last home game of the year, they play much better at home than on the road. They're 4-1 straight up in their last 5 home games. Like I know even Matt Moore, our own Matt Moore here at Action Network, very ambitiously has already said the Magic are making the playoffs next year based on what he has seen, how they played this last month. I think they end the high note. I think they end the season on a high note for season ticket holders. Honestly, I think what you need to do is if you can grab the Magic right now, grab them. But if it drops below +3, just take the Magic money line in that spot.
I like it. I've liked the Magic all year. They've been fun to watch. I love that roster construction as a whole as well. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't make the playoffs next year. We know outside of that, the solidified big boys in the East, there will be some movement. So stay tuned there. This is actually a perfect segue. We just talked about the I guess Gilles mentioned the Cavs. So let's talk about this first round series. We finally got a price to take a look at. 4-5 in the East. Cavs versus the Knicks. Cavs right now -185 to win the series. Knicks +150. Series over 5.5 games. Yes, -160. To go under 5.5 games is +130. JD, I'm going to come to you. What do you think about the first look in the East right now? 4-5. Knicks, Cavs.
It's Knicks by 1 million. Knicks 4-0. No, but I mean, the thing is, I think that right now this line is priced. I think it's mispriced with the thought that Randall is healthy, right? He's going to have had 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to recover from that sprained ankle. It's honestly very unclear how bad this has been. Just the fact that the Knicks pretty much knew they were going to make the playoffs. Let's just rest him up. We need him for the playoffs. We got Brunson, he's obviously going to carry us into the playoffs. We'll be fine. But I think that if you look at that price right now, it's wrong. And I think this is a little bit closer of a series than, so even some of the advanced metrics would kind of show. One of the big problems with Knicks coach teams generally has been, or Tibbs coach teams rather, has just been the fact that he runs his starters so many minutes that, there's no extra gear in the playoffs. right? But right now, I think that that's something that is a little bit different with this roster. We have increased minutes from Quentin Grimes, Manuel Quickley, and Josh Hart since he was acquired, right? So, and we've actually seen Tibbs like start to cut into RJ's minutes, thank God, and we're seeing much more minutes from that, like those other three with alongside of Hartenstein's been playing very, very well. I think that they're a balanced team, and they're a team that can really kind of bother Cleveland, who, obviously they have Mitchell and they have Garland, but the Knicks have a lot of defensive wings to throw at them. And I think that's really the difference here. The Knicks aren't like necessarily going to need to go and attack Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, like nonstop all game. And we've seen that Mobley and Allen, they sometimes struggle to defend the 3-point line, which is where Randall likes to, stroll out to every so often. So I think this is going to be a tough matchup. And I would definitely be taking the series over in terms of games. It'll probably be a 5.5. And that's definitely a spot that I'm going to target.
Yeah, that's what it's at right now, -160. You could maybe pinpoint Knicks in 6 or 7 and get a pretty good number out there. Gilles, any thoughts? And my gut tells me that Julius Randle's going to be ready to go for game 1. That's just my gut. I don't have any inside information on that, but something tells me Julius is going to be ready. What do you think, Gilles?
I think the series, as simple as it sounds, is really going to come down to 3-point defense. I think Joe kind of alluded to that. One of the things about the Knicks is as strong as they've been defensively and cohesive as a unit as they can be, they do allow a little bit more 3-point attempts than I like from a strong defense, especially a Tibbs defense. And even though the Cavs are actually one of the teams that take one of the fewer amount of threes in the league, they actually shoot a higher percentage, mainly because of Donovan Mitchell and just the volume that he takes and encompassing all of that. So I think with this, the way that I would end up playing this series, not saying that you couldn't get a good price on them from a series price, but I think what you'd want to do, or at least how I would think that we would want to play it, is you either do one of two things. You either take the Knicks money line each time in both games in Cleveland, or you wait, you see if the Knicks lose game 1, then grab that series price, that inflated series price. They're going to bounce back in game 2. Then you get 2 games at MSG, and then it's a nice little spot here where either you're back 2-2 or the Knicks are up 3-1 in the series. But I think that's what the thing is, that I think both games in New York, the Knicks are going to be favored, even if it's just by 1, to open, and then we'll see where the market goes. But I think both games in Cleveland, the Knicks are going to be underdogs, and I think they could split in Cleveland. So I think the best bet to do is just to take money line on either one of those games and hope that you get at least 1, because I think you're getting at least 1. You might get 2.
Yeah. Fair. The NBA playoffs are here. I'm fired up. I cannot wait. To recap, Gilles Gallant's on Magic +4, Suns -4.5. Joe Dallaire is also on Suns -4.5 and Thunder -5 as it currently sits. JD, you said you take it up to -7?
Yeah, I'll take 7.5.
And I'm also on the Thunder -5. -6.5 is where I'd take it too, but I still think the Thunder get it done. I think that's a really good spot for those guys. For Gilles Gallant, for JD, I am Sean Little. We'll see you next time on Buckets.